welcome to Thursday Night Live with Bill Tucci.
Behold his mighty hand.
Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang.
Just want to manage expectations.
Weird.
This is the worst.
Ding! What a cut up that Mickey Mouse. What a little scoundrel he is.
The magic of animation. He looks so
That was
real.
longer than I remembered. My God.
I
know.
Longer than, I was watching. I'm like, shit. We should have did it 1.25 speed. Welcome everyone. Welcome, of course, my partner in crime, Nile Scala. Where's the applause, Scala?
What? Oh, the applause. The applause.
All right, I'll do it.
I'm not going to give myself an applause.
I guess
How
I'll have
dare
to
I do that?
Hang on. There you go. And to my right, one of my oldest friends in the world, the one, the only, Mr. Stephen George Perros. How are you, buddy?
Thank you. Very good.
Of course, and down in the left corner there is in the who would be there? J.P. Morgan, James Bullock. Who would be there, Steve, in the old Hollywood Squares? Who'd be down there in JC's corner?
In the JC corner, it's definitely not Paul Lynn. He's center square, which we don't have tonight.
Yeah, Richard Simmons.
Yeah, it's possible. It's entirely possible.
Writer, editor extraordinaire, president of Gemstone Publishing, Mr. J.C. Vaughn. Hello, Jeff. Welcome to the show.
Bonjour. Billy, I think I'm in the Charles Nelson Riley box.
I think you are. Oh. And, of course, my fellow professional, the one, the only Tex, Mr. Art T. Bear. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Hey, that cartoon, some of Eb Iwerks or Ub Iwerks, is that how you say his name? Some of his best work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
good
just
stuff,
it's
man.
so fluid. It's so organic. It's
So
just
like.
fluid. And of course, last but not least, everyone's favorite, Miss Irene Strikalski. How are you, Irene?
Hello. Hi. It's good to be back. Yay.
Well, welcome everybody to this. And I think this is the first broadcast, non-Disney broadcast of Steamboat Willie once it hit the public domain. So thank you all for partaking with us. I'd like to say hello to a few of our guests, and then we're going to jump right into this. But, of course, we have, let's go from the top, Zaid Comics. What's up, buddy? J.C. Vaughn is here, of course. Alex VRB. Marcus Killigrew, of course. Meromi is here. Oh, Stephen Perros is here. The
Can
great
you believe it? I'm here and I'm there. I'm everywhere.
You're everywhere. Citizen Ronan, Randy Howell. Good to see you. Oh, where is he? I just saw it. Where is it? Andino, good to see you. Palazzo. Who else? Kevin Ryan. Sklark.
I saw Mark Haynes. I saw Mark Haynes loitering up there earlier.
Oh, Mark Haynes. Lefty. Good to see you, buddy. Randy Howell. Fox Mulder. All you guys are great. Thank you for joining us. There's Mr. Mark Haynes. There he is, our buddy. Good to see you, Mark. Citizen Ronan, of course. So, I don't know. I figured today we start off the year with, Mickey Mouse is in the public domain along with a lot of other.
No. Mickey Mouse is not in the public domain. There are a whole bank. There's a whole computer room. You know, like when they have all those PBS fundraisers and they got that room with a lot of people by telephone. There are all these Disney lawyers who are so excited by this to shut people down for using the word Mickey Mouse, for putting gloves on Steamboat Willie and trying to pass him off as Steamboat Willie. There's a horror movie on it's going to come out. The trailer's on YouTube. Mickey's Mousetrap. It's like that Winnie the Pooh movie from a year or two ago.
Yes,
they're going to shut that sucker down. They did it
really?
They did it on purpose because how do you get attention for your like movie that costs $32,000? Is you call it Mickey's Mousetrap, and then you talk about how Disney ordered a cease and desist, and then you change the title but now everyone knows about your movie. So
smart.
It's called Mickey's Mousetrap. You better believe it's not going to be released with that title.
Yeah, I'm changing the title of Black and White to Steamboat Black and White.
There you go. and those the uninitiative Black and White is RT Bears. It's about to go to press, right? Or is it at the press? Is it going?
Yeah, we're talking to several different printers. We have one local here in Texas, so I hope that works out. We get a decent quote because that would be amazing. So yeah, so I'm thinking next month we should be hopefully have the books back and start shipping. So
excellent,
awesome.
And we got some cool news. We have a new Crusade Comics fulfillment center right here in town. The wife found a gem of a spot, 600 square feet, plus a kitchen and a ladies' bathroom, ladies' powder room, and a men's room. So we're all excited. Can't we? Going to start moving in tomorrow?
Like I think it's a kitchen.
Oh, but you have like a whole warehouse.
Stove in it. I mean, there's not a bathtub in it, but there's a stove. So I think it's a kitchen.
A bathtub in your kitchen?
Is it a range top or a full oven?
It's full oven.
Oh yeah, he's got a full kitchen in there.
I could not tell that from the photo.
Let's. I gotta check.
Where do you have a full kitchen?
AKA Billy just got an apartment for when Debbie kicks him out.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Is this a second house or a full?
No, it's right.
Finally has a working toilet.
Hey Billy, get one of those couches, those fold-out couches, so you can make yourself at home.
No,
I'm working late, honey. I'm gonna stay at the office. Yo, Bean, it's got a. See?
Wow, look at that.
There
Oh,
you
wow.
go.
That's where Billy would be spending Thanksgiving alone.
It's a warehouse?
No, it's a big giant office space.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so right
Wow.
Billy, whereabouts is it?
Damn.
Oh, okay, Steve. If it's on Montauk Highway, in my town of Bayport, across the street from the Starbucks
parking lot. Well, so it's you're coming not quite full circle, but back in the day, you used to have an office, a brick and mortar Tucci office there on.
Yeah, that was in Sayville. Yes, when I bought a building and then I sold it. Thank God.
Hack Shack used to be in one of those areas like that, so it's kind of like a storefront. And so it's a studio where we work. But we have all our comic books on the walls, and we have toys and stuff on the shelves. So we used to have mothers with their kids. They would drive up and come in, and they'd go, "This is a nice comic shop." Yeah. It's like, no, it's not.
Rainey is our unofficial office manager.
I guess I am.
No, it's in a building with a longtime Bayport person, a family actually. It's an insurance. There's an insurance company there and an attorney, and then we have the big room in the back. And we even told we don't even want to come through the front door, and there's a lady there, the office manager, Rini, who will fight you, I think, for the whole building.
Oh,
and she I'm like, well, to be honest with you, I don't even want a key to the front. I'd like to come through the back. And she's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What's cool about Hack Shack Studios is we subleased from the Nixon Library and Estate in Yorba Belinda.
Oh,
so the back warehouse was all of like Pat Nixon's books and all their Christmas decorations for the library and all that stuff. So it was pretty cool, but they didn't trust us. So they had a big old deadbolt because we could access it from the front office, but they had that thing all boarded up practically. They did not trust us. And then
you're also a bunch of dope smoking hippies, weren't you too?
We were, but Jesse, the Mind Ventura, actually came by the office one day because he was doing some kind of I guess he had a book, like a book promotion tour. So they had the back warehouse opened up and they had a bunch of his books back there. So
is that your moniker, Jesse the Mind Ventura? Or did he come up?
Well, that's what he called himself. Remember, he was Jesse the Body. Yeah. And then when he went into politics, he was Jesse the Mind Ventura.
So did you ever break into that part? Come on.
No, there was nothing. Pat Nixon books? What would I do with those?
Big money.
Big money.
Oh.
You know what the weirdest thing about the Nixon Library is? They're actually buried. Pat and Richard are buried on the premises there.
No shit.
Yeah.
Like Reagan. Sorry. Reagan is too. Reagan is at the Reagan in Simi Valley at the Reagan Library. Steve, I think I was staying with you when I went over there, and I visited it. And he's got him and Nancy are on this bluff overlooking the Pacific Ocean, right outside the, I guess the backyard, the grounds of the library. And when he was scouting out the place with I guess whomever is the person in charge of the thing, the curator or whatever would be of the I don't know what a library would have. And he's like, well, Mr. President, you're going to have the best view in all of California. and then Reagan goes, yeah, that's if you're standing up. Oh, are we all drinking now?
She's going to drink all that tonight.
Yes.
Are you Italian?
This looks so funny. Look, oh my gosh. This is like a giant jug. This is a weapon of a jug of wine. And I bought it because I wanted the jug, but the wine's not bad either. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
That was my grandfather would be sitting at the end of the table
Right?
on Sunday.
It looks like it's fresh squeezed, Rennie. Like you just kind of like stomped it out and
Yeah.
Rennie made it with
put it in the
I
box.
have a vineyard in my backyard.
Yeah.
It's Livingston Burgundy. It's pretty good.
Billy, I'm you know, it's your first Billy Tucci live of the new year. I don't know where your smoking jacket is, your libation, or your smoke of some kind, which of course means he does not inhale into his lungs.
No, I do not. You know, I'm gonna get that right now. Actually, at least
I'm a little, you know.
Now I feel at home. I'm on the show and Billy's leaving.
I have to leave. But let's talk. I mean, there's again, as Stephen Paris had pointed out so correctly and specifically and authoritatively that Mickey Mouse is not in the public domain.
Well, Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse is.
But what words you use is very specific. You can't say Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse. They did not in 1928 say Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse. They said Steamboat Willie.
Is it starring Mickey Mouse though, or does it say Steamboat?
We just watched it. I don't think it says
in
Mickey
the credits.
Mouse.
It does not.
He is not identified as Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
So Steve, here's the question for you, Steve.
Me, I'm no authority, but go ahead.
Plain Crazy was released in Los Angeles, but only Los Angeles before Steamboat Willie.
Yes.
It then later received another wider release, even though it was silent.
Correct.
Is it in the public domain?
No.
Wait, is what we just saw? You're asking?
No, that was Steamboat Willie before Steamboat Willie.
Plain Crazy preceded that. It was the first Mickey Mouse cartoon ever created. It was only released at theaters in Los Angeles and then later received a wider release. So it should be, but it doesn't mean it is, in public domain.
I have a question. Is Steamboat Willie's girlfriend, possibly Minnie, is she in public domain as well?
The contents of this film are, she is not named Minnie any more than he's named Mickey.
Right.
So
yes,
Plain Crazy.
Girlfriend.
Plain Crazy is, in fact, I mean, this is called the magic of Google, using the internet for the powers of good. Yes, in fact, it is. Plain Crazy, as I just found out, is also, but we did not watch it. I can't claim to have watched it. Is he referenced as Mickey Mouse?
No, it's silent.
Yeah, on screen, do the words Mickey Mouse appear?
I don't know. I've only ever seen the storyboards.
So.
Yes. So, well, there you go. So, no, as far as everything I am hearing and I am seeing, that is only the character, this visual character of a black and white mouse with no white gloves, that was not called Mickey Mouse, who is in the public domain.
No, someone in chat said you can use, as long as it's not too similar, as long as it's not that exact look, right? The white gloves and everything, you can do different versions of this Steamboat Willie character, because and that would still be considered public domain. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can like dress it up and put it
now.
In
Just Kevin Ryan, who I remember from one of our other legal conversations who's watching and in the chat. He had some legal things to share the last time we had a legal discussion. And he is saying that in Steamboat Willie, yes, he is identified clearly as Mickey Mouse. We just watched it. Was he?
I don't know. I was getting my faculties together.
I don't believe
We
that.
don't have
I don't
that many
think any of
times.
them used their names at all. Yeah, there was very little dialogue.
Well, it's comics, so
Well, there's no dialogue, but I think it says like starring Mickey Mouse.
Oh, does it? The title?
We'll have to revisit that.
Or is that a later
Could just
release
play the
that says
beginning of
that?
it again.
Well, Stephen Peros is the author of great graphic novel and soon to be two. Thank you, Stoker and Wells, which utilizes public domain characters and
Yes.
public figures. Steve,
Yeah.
how did that work out? Like okay, so he's using.
I mean, yes, Dracula's in the public domain. Dracula's a book from 1897, so it's long in the public domain by the time I got my hands on it. Same thing with H.G. All of the works of H.G. Wells are in the public domain. So it's for those who don't know, Stoker and Wells involves a 20-something H.G. Wells meeting a 40-something Bram Stoker, and the two men going on an adventure that winds up leading to both men's first great important work, which was Dracula for Stoker and The Time Machine for H.G. Wells. And I didn't have to pay anybody anything for that because they are both works are clearly 100% in the public domain. And the biographical characters, the historic characters of the authors themselves are deceased, and deceased characters have no rights, basically. So that's a big deal.
Though in modern terms, Steve, is that affected like by California and the other states that recognize a right of publicity?
Oh, right of publicity is very interesting because for those of you, of course, I wouldn't know. I was born in the 70s, which I wasn't. But back in the 70s, there were a whole bunch of commercials. Charlie Chaplin, an actor dressed as Charlie Chaplin advertising some new thing called Apple computers. And they would use Clint Eastwood's John Wayne, who had just passed away. They'd use somebody impersonating him for voiceover on commercials. And finally, the estates of John Wayne, I think it was John Wayne, Charlie Chaplin, I think Rod Serling may have been, a state might have been involved. Anyway, they all got together and they filed a suit. And it turns out you can use the deceased. Right now, any of us can do a movie about the life of John Wayne. We don't owe anybody any money. But we can't use the likeness of John Wayne to advertise or sell a product without actually paying the estate. We can't use an impersonator. We can't use their voice. So selling products versus selling a work of fiction, a book, a TV show, a movie, or whatever one has to use to advertise. I did a movie about Charlie Chaplin. I'm looking at the poster. On the poster is the actor playing Charlie Chaplin advertising that movie, which was about Charlie Chaplin. We didn't owe anybody any rights. Nobody sued because there's nothing actionable in current copyright law.
Didn't Michael Jackson try to trademark or copyright his likeness and he couldn't? Do you guys remember that?
I know, but it's interesting. That's another interesting point. As we know, there back in the days of, or even now in TV movies, look at The Crown. If you are considered a public figure, you give up huge rights. I mean, Elizabeth Taylor, Frank Sinatra wasn't alive, but Elizabeth Taylor did not approve of the miniseries I think NBC did about her life, but she couldn't really do anything about it unless they actually libeled her in that episode. If they showed her murdering somebody, she would have had a case.
Yeah.
But just doing a biography.
So let's get to the most important part of this. Was the claymation Ice-T Frank Sinatra really Frank Sinatra's voice?
Those were great commercials, by the way. Those things were a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, what would they say at the end? They'd go, "That's brisk, baby."
That's brisk, baby. I say that all the time.
The estates are actually saying, "Well, great, now we can make money." I mean, Audrey Hepburn has been used in advertising.
The Breakfast of Tiffany's, like that stuff's iconic. Yeah,
yeah.
They use it all the time.
The family and the estates, will govern it and will try to, monetize it if they can. And
clearly, the Elvis estate is only minorly owned by the family now. It's sold out to a company that then polices the use of Elvis.
Yep. I mean, look at Peter Cushing, who rose from the dead to appear in a Star Wars movie. They had to actually get the permission and pay the estate to reuse Peter Cushing for that film, for the later.
Well, there's
film.
going to be all kinds of hanky panky now with the, like the computers and being able to do all these simulations and stuff like that. I mean, it's gonna run amok. I do remember though, also I thought was interesting about like trying to copyright and trademark stuff was a sound when like rappers started sampling music. And I remember Phil Collins, like, because like those guys would work years trying to perfect a sound of a drum or a guitar or something like that. And these guys could sample them and basically just snake it and not have to make any acknowledgement to it at all.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry. Who's it?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like if it wasn't for John Bonham and that was it when the levee breaks, that drum sound, there would be no rap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even profess. I'm not a musician. I don't profess to understand how that. But apparently, all that stuff is music seems to be its own thing. This idea of that you can use pieces and snippets, and yes, you don't have to wait 75 years. There's a certain threshold that you can use or not use, which I don't quite follow, but yeah.
Didn't Queen sue Vanilla Ice for using the riff from?
There was some litigation about that. There was some litigation about that. I don't remember what the outcome of it was. I just remember when Dennis Miller was still the news guy on Weekend Update. Vanilla Ice was a musical guest, and he opens Weekend Update with Under Pressure by Queen and Bowie. And he goes, somebody could have a hit song with that today. It would be really popular. And then the beat. And then he says, but it wouldn't be as good.
It wouldn't be as good. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I thought, most people when they're doing that kind of comedy don't have the balls to do it when the person's on the show.
Yeah.
So I really like that.
Oh, they have to be paying them because even like Nile and I, when we get music to use for our movie, our crowdfunded
private
videos,
movies,
you got to pay them.
A private movie.
Oh, wait, which videos are we talking about, Billy? Well, all this stuff, because YouTube has the music partnership. So, you can use certain music and stuff, but you got to pay, they're getting half of your monetization.
But you can copyright like music and stuff.
Oh,
but
yeah.
what we were talking about, Billy, is sound, like actual sound, like a guitar sound, like Eddie Van Halen's guitar sound or Phil Collins' drum sound. Like they were sampling those, and there was no legal recourse. So anybody could sample these sounds and then digitally reuse them. And sometimes it would take decades, years for these guys to perfect these sounds.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead, Billy. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, get Steve. Let me.
Kevin Ryan brought up, back in the day, Ant and the Anteater. When people use very recognizable characters, voices like Dean Martin and Jackie Mason were the Ant and the Anteater back in the 70s, and we see that all the time. But again, that's what Saturday Night Live does every week. If it is under the guise of
parody,
parody,
yeah,
then you get away with quite a lot. And also, I don't doubt there are certain things that people were owed money on that they probably just didn't know. They didn't. That it was so common to be impersonated, to be spoofed. I mean, ever since Peter Lorre's crazy voice came on, Warner Brothers cartoons always had someone doing Peter Lorre, and I don't think he ever sued. All
right, Rennie, who is that we're talking about?
Oh, Ren and Stimpy, right? Wasn't them that doing?
It's
Peter
kind
Lorre?
of Peter Lorre.
I don't know
the actor. Yeah.
You know the voice, you just don't know the actor.
Yeah, you know the voice
because it's still being used.
Because I mean, imagine how much money Chuck Berry must be owed for that guitar riff that everyone's used from.
It's in almost every guitar solo. Yeah.
Well, there was a very interesting article in Screen Rant about some of the other characters that make. How do I get rid of that stupid thing?
Oh, wow.
Wait,
King Kong as well?
Maybe.
Yeah, well, we have to look.
100 years?
Things are coming.
That's
are
not King Kong. That's
Oh,
Green
this is
Kong.
going to be wild.
Yeah, it's Green Kong. Apparently, that's the
Green
bad.
Kong, yeah.
That's the bad Gargantua, I think.
Yeah, I would
Oh,
take.
I
I would
was
love
Gargantuans,
War of the Gargantuans. But so it's from Screen Rant, and it's like after Mickey Mouse, all other major characters and franchises who lose copyrights in the 2020s. And Steve Parros, this might interest you, pique your interest, I think.
Popeye
everyone's talking about Steamboat Willie. Whatever.
Look right there. The first line of this summary is wrong.
Mickey Mouse.
Copy. Yes, that's true.
Steamboat Willie.
Well, no, they say right here, allowing anyone to use a specific appearance in Steamboat Willie without legal consequences.
Popeye first appeared in a strip called Thimble Theater.
Yes.
The stars of it were Olive Oil's brother Castor Oil and his pal Ham Gravy. And Popeye was supposed to be a walk-on character, was supposed to be in one story arc and then done, but he took over the strip.
Wait, Billy, scroll. First off, who is this source we're looking at right now?
It's Screen Rant.
Okay, go up. Go where that little that first. No, go where that first block of text was, below the image. Okay, other iconic characters like blah blah blah, Dracula and Frankenstein. Excuse me, they've been in the public domain for decades.
Oh, wait though.
For decades.
No.
Frankenstein were both
scroll through
way
them.
earlier.
1933 Universal Monsters, Frankenstein and Dracula.
They're
31.
suggesting the makeups from 1931, which were the Frankenstein and Dracula makeups. Now the problem that even Universal had. Pause there for a moment. The problem that even Universal has, it continues to have, is that is not a makeup. That is a man's face. And so you can, if you went on eBay now and looked up Universal Dracula merchandising, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff that looks like generic man with black hair and a stare. And then you'll see other stuff that looks like Lugosi. And the Lugosi stuff, if you look at the packaging, will say licensed under agreement with the Bela Lugosi estate. So that's something, I don't know if families also lose the rights to their, like Charlie Chaplin certainly hasn't lost that estate. His stuff is well over 75 or 100 years old at this point. That still is protected by other laws. You know, your likeness is not part of the public domain.
Steve, along those lines, is this an area of major difference between American and European copyright and trademark law?
That is an excellent question, JC.
Yes.
I do not know, of which I do not know, but I know that Billy and Nile, in their wisdom, have a guest coming in who's in the waiting room, who's actually a lawyer, who's going to come on in, join the conversation. Billy, why don't you let the lawyer in?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
The lawyer.
The lawyer.
Now, Steve.
All the way from California. California. No,
by the way, isn't it funny? They actually put a photo of the Frankenstein monster from an unused makeup. That actually is not what he looks like in the film. He does not have bolts, like little chain bolts in his head and two scars.
On his forehead, yeah.
Yeah, that's an unused makeup. But anyway, who expects the internet to be accurate?
Right, exactly. So, but like you said, so again, it's specifically Carlos' depiction as the Frankenstein's monster. So I guess
now that makeup, yeah, I suppose those makeups will be entering the public domain. Which
so does that mean we can start drawing the monster with bolts on the neck?
Yes,
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, technically, I know we like calling him a monster, but if Frankenstein created him and he's the creator, Frankenstein, couldn't this man be known as Frankenstein as well?
That's Frankenstein's monster. That's his name.
Just drop it. You're just trying to appease the idiots.
You know what I want to do? I want to merge the two. I want Frankenstein and Steamboat Willie in one character.
Frank and Willie.
Frank and Willie. He's got like the bolts and stuff.
Now
Hey,
we're
listen,
getting somewhere.
By all accounts, Frank and Willie is the correct. No, I'm sorry, forget that.
There you go.
There you
But
go.
I think
I'm trademarking
this
it
is
right
very
now.
interesting.
Copyright.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a very, and there are several. Like I said, Pluto, Conan the Barbarian in 2027. And it's
Well, now we're getting into. Are they talking about the like?
Howard.
Hold on. Are they talking about the likeness, the specific likenesses from the comics, or are they talking about the character from the book at this point?
No,
It
I
would be
think
the
you
book.
use Conan.
Yeah.
I think you could probably
When
reproduce
was Conan
Howard's
written?
Conan stories.
Right.
From
It's weird tales.
The rights on Conan are already fractured as they are.
Yeah, that's true.
Same thing with Zorro.
1932 was the creation, so you're right. It's not 100 years yet. Wow.
No, it's
Universal
not.
Money.
It's 93 years.
93 years.
93. Oh, okay.
93 years. these things
Yeah,
go into
it's
the public
coming up.
domain.
Oh my gosh. That's
Well, I have to
wild.
say, it's always been very hard for Universal to actually copyright The Mummy. It's just a guy with bandages who's wrinkly. You can't really say you've created. I mean, it's not distinctive like the Frankenstein makeup, the Wolfman makeup, the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
which is-
because there are actual mummies
Yes.
that exist.
People,
Yeah.
people are
But
out there shouting, "Show
technically-
me the mummy."
So, but technically, I think because of King Kong in 2029, if you want to make a graphic novel based off of Cooper's King Kong,
Mhm.
you'll be able to do it using the likeness and everything. Because
Or
Narwhal,
like that's bigger problems for Legendary and the movies.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
that's all gonna fall apart. I mean, if you want to make a direct, sequel of this, not a sequel. If you want to make a remake of this film, you could shoot it frame for frame, and
Peter
probably get away
Jackson
with it.
already did.
Here's the question
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
We would,
And I don't know. As much as I've enjoyed the other movies and everything else like that, they've definitely shied away from calling it King Kong. They've been calling it Kong.
Mhm.
Is that in fact have anything to do legally with King Kong?
No. They've already the rights to King Kong, as once owned by RKO, is now owned by Warner's or whoever owns the rights. No, I just think that they only called King Kong in the original movie because they brought him to New York and it was more impressive to advertise him as King.
Right? Yeah, sure.
But I think there's just been no need to call him King Kong. They just call him Kong. It's cooler. King, King is gilding the lily a little. Clearly, he's a king, for God's sakes.
Oh, of course,
They do use the word. That they do imply that in Kong Skull Island and so forth, the sense that he rules and he was a king in his world. They may have said something like that, but no one calls him King Kong.
Yeah, he's just a damn dirty ape.
They did call him
Wait
King
a
Kong
minute.
in one of the Japanese movies.
What
The
about
woman's
that?
like, Kong, and she goes King in one of the Japanese King Kongs, and she goes. King
I'll tell you which one
Kong.
is King Kong Escapes. Linda Miller, who is still with us and still goes to conventions, she calls him King Kong.
God bless her. I saw. Speaking of people that are so with it, what's his name? HM.
Yes.
I watched him. I believe he was in an episode of. He was in an episode of.
Take your pick.
High Chaparral. I think he was in.
Wait,
I just saw him in the other day in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Conquest. That's right. He's a human. He plays Hoskins.
Yes.
They don't treat Ricardo Montalban very well.
No.
Steven, you are awesome, man.
Steve knows all this shit, dude. Steve, Art, Steve wrote a film called The Cat's Meow, if you ever seen it, that he was referencing Chaplin earlier. And it was a story of the mysterious death of Thomas Ince, who was a silent film producer in 1924, right, Steve?
What? This is the 100th year of his death, mysterious death on board William Randolph Hearst's yacht, the Oneida. Off the California coast, sailing from San Pedro down to San Diego, and to this day nobody really knows exactly what happened to him. Charlie Chaplin was on board, denied it. Luella Parsons, the famous gossip columnist, was on board, denied it. And he built what is now the Sony Studios. He created the studio system along with D.W. Griffith. But yes, and that's having its centenary. So things are things are happening with that. That Peter Bogdanovich directed it, Kirsten Dunst.
I can't wait for 100 years where the rights to me comes up and people can start,
Dude, apparently people are already using your likeness in comics. Look at the Ghost of Matacumba Key.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
you're starring in that. I want
and
you to
my
know.
dog. Yeah,
and your dog.
Yeah.
Billy, is Chevy paying you for this free advertising?
Yeah, let's stop that. Well, I find this really interesting because in relation to comics, as I was saying, I've used, I wrote Miss Fury, who June Tarpon Mills' wonderful character preceded Catwoman by 3 years, preceded Wonder Woman by 6 months. One of the first female action hero comics, and the first created by a woman, Miss June Tarpon Mills, and we were able to use that Miss Fury in the book. I think to great effect, if I dare say so myself. And this character is in the public domain. A lot of comic characters, Golden Age comic characters, have slipped into the public domain. Isn't that correct, J.C. Vaughn?
Yes, it's correct. Even characters that are slightly more recent, because they had no corporate people renewing them, or people let the paperwork lapse, or what have you.
Yeah,
and I would think that Warner Brothers would have had the foresight when they made their deal with Legendary about the use of Kong for these movies, that they would have, if they have smart lawyers, I assume they do, they would have known, it's lapsing in, what's the year it said, 29 or whatever. They would have made sure they're still going to make money after 29, that the faucet doesn't get turned off. They probably made sure they closed that deal.
Yeah, Steve, you're absolutely right. And there's a lot of like, oh, woohoo, we can go do all this stuff. But the fact is, like, let's talk about the golden goose in comic books, which is still a few years away, but Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not going to be able to call it. You're not going to be able to use like the telescoping Superman logo. You're not, because that's trademark. That's not copyright.
Right. That's what a lot of the discussion is happening right now.
And there's so many things that here people think it's going to be easy, and there's still going to be a lot of corporate lawyers protecting their interests and getting wealthy and socking people that really don't see it coming because they believe the stupid headlines.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, it's easy for a corporation like Disney or Warner Brothers or whatever to bully anybody because, quite frankly, most people don't have that kind of attorney. They don't have that kind of money. They don't have those resources. So it's even if the person that's using the IP legally are probably still going to get their butts kicked just because they're going to be outmanned by the lawyers of these companies.
I gotta debate that. I think especially when it comes to Steamboat Willie, let's just go with that, and then whatever the following shorts will be, the Mickey Mouse shorts, because I don't think it's worth it to Disney at this point. You have to think back in 1976 when they did the Copyright Renewal Act of 1976, when Mickey was supposed to go into the public domain, I think in 78.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
I was just bringing this up since you were talking about Steamboat Willie.
Look at that.
Yeah, this is a comic by, if you guys know Legal Mindset, Andrew, this is his campaign, and the it's under Cedar Creek is the name, but this is by Andrew, and his artist Western Penman is the artist name on Twitter. But yeah, they just launched January 1st, like the minute Steamboat Willie was public domain, they launched it. It's Steamboat Willie taking
like
on
a calendar,
mysterious
calendar page in that one. Look at that.
Yeah.
Corporation that totally has no resemblance to real life corporations, but it's I'm very excited. So it's
and you notice how safe he's playing it right. He's not only he's got no white gloves, which is very, very distinctive to Mickey Mouse. The eyes are black, which is not how Mickey Mouse ultimately developed, and it is even keeping the cap on him, which has nothing.
Oh, I'm sure Andrew, that's his specialty. His specialty is he's actually a lawyer, and his specialty is Disney. His whole channel is Disney law, so he knows. But yeah, check this out.
When does this book come out? When is it shipping?
I think they said like a really quick turnaround, like a month or so. So you'll get your books pretty quickly. And I think it's actually digital, so it's not even a physical book. That's why
it's
like
not a print. Okay, that's good because me and Jeff Vaughn's Steamboat Willie's going to beat it to the presses.
Very
I was thinking of doing that.
Oh, it's a competition. Okay.
No, good on you guys. Well, again, as I was saying, in 1976 or 74, when Mickey Mouse would have been in the public domain, come I think 1978. And they did the 1976 Copyright Renewal Act. Mickey Mouse was a huge part of the Disney Corporation at this point. Then again, it's something similar happened in 1995 too. They were able to extend it another 20 years. When who's the head of Disney back then?
Eisner.
Eisner got together with some politicians. They were able to work that out.
Copyright Extension Act.
Yeah. Thank you. The 1995 Copyright Extension Act gave Disney another 20 years. Mm-hmm. Since 1995, Disney. Now you could say Mickey Mouse is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, probably. Disney right now, after purchasing Marvel, HBO, ESPN, Star Wars,
ABC.
What?
ABC.
They already, they own that for a long time. Right. But like Fox, Fox and Star Wars,
they are worth hundreds of billions of dollars now. So Mickey Mouse in itself, the character in itself, is so insignificant, I think, to the overall.
Billy, are you saying that to Disney, it's a Mickey Mouse operation?
Hold on.
Where's your? Yeah, there it is. There it is.
The whole thing about this is this: it doesn't say anywhere that Disney has to stop making Mickey Mouse and selling it, and they are going to be doing new. And they will be doing new iterations, which will then be under 93 years of copyright law themselves.
Right. Well, isn't that the whole thing? Why Marvel did Miles Morales? To fuck over the Ditko estate?
And a lot of the new characters as well, like the new Superman and all these. I mean, besides from kind of social and political reasons, it really is copyright.
Yeah, because Simon and Schuster and Siegel do not own Jonathan Kent. That estate does not have any stake in Jonathan Kent whatsoever. Ditko has no part of the Ditko estate has no part of Miles Morales, because I think that's what they even call him, right? They don't call him Spider-Man, do they? Or it's Ultimate Spider-Man. Or
well, I think there's still all sorts of legal ground, because there's literally no way to act like listen, as fresh a character as Miles Morales is, there's no way to act like it's not derivative.
Right.
So that becomes
that's a good question, because it's like Disney. Okay, so is it the Malin or the people that created Winnie the Pooh? So they optioned the book, and then they made the cartoons, but they made their own version of all these characters. So they're like on Disney Creations. So they own flat out. They own those versions of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah,
they don't own Winnie the Pooh, but they own those versions. So all those, like Alice in Wonderland, all that stuff, they don't necessarily own, but they own that version.
The Burroughs books, the Edgar Rice Burroughs books. This is a similar situation. There are later incarnations which were licensed, which are still in the control of the estate, and the estate is still putting out the beautiful new editions of the books that Joe Jusko is doing uniform covers for, but there's a limit to how far they can go with this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if they could call it Winnie the Pooh, because but that those likenesses.
That's the name of the and if there's illustrations in Winnie the Pooh now is in the public. And the illustrations within that first book, or whatever the books are now, because again, if it's sequels, those books are in the public domain too.
I think Tigger is about to hit public domain.
Really?
Yes.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that the original Winnie the Pooh is in public domain at this point?
The original Winnie the Pooh is.
It looked like the the Disney's Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
So
It's gotta
Disney
look
doesn't even have to pay for the license anymore.
No.
They can just do whatever they want with the character.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
Holy shit, that's printing money.
And you
That
realize,
is-
you could take that first Winnie the Pooh novella, whatever it was, children's storybook,
children's
whatever.
story, yeah.
Yeah, and you could make a comic on that set.
Yeah.
You could make a film on that.
But he can't look like the red T-shirt wearing bear.
Right. With
Yeah.
no pants.
Yeah.
Huh.
It'd have to be like your own version of the
Interesting.
character.
Or
Well, they-
look just like the illustrations in the first print,
first
in the
book.
original.
Okay, all right. Dr. Mask's Elixir here says that Tigger did hit this year, and that just backs up the most wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things.
Well, Tigger's going to show up in the next issue of Black and White for sure.
Yeah.
Perfect.
He's going to
Hey,
be
guys,
bouncing
sorry,
all
but
over that book.
I have a show on my own, so I have to go. But thank you so much for letting me join. I wish I
Thanks
could
for
stay
hanging out,
longer.
Rainey.
So good to
Cheers.
see you.
See you guys around.
Thanks for joining
Good
us.
night.
I got to
Yeah,
talk to you about
good
that
night.
cover. Rainey. I got to talk to you about that cover. I'll message
Yes. Yeah. Okay. We'll
Okay,
talk. Bye.
I felt so bad for like she didn't get any of these references.
you. I know. Yeah,
You know,
I just-
Art, I applaud your sympathy, but I'm so often the person that's not getting the younger people talking.
Okay.
I'm totally glad to be the person having the conversation that's understood by the rest of the group.
I'd like
It's
to,
all
if
good.
I can, I'd like to read. We have some super chats, and if we could read that, please.
Yeah, we'll
I can do them, Nile, if that's okay.
All right.
Randy Howell, Canadian, $2. Willie Steamboat is a gay party cruise. Thank you. So lazy for $10 super chat. That ain't cheap. Hey Billy, for the She campaign, are there any sketch items included in the I Want It All tier? I am also unable to purchase the trading card bundles as advertised on Kickstarter. I will get in touch with my wife right now and have her. Where's my phone? And I'll have the other guys talk, and I'll do that. Aaron Sleeper, thank you, Aaron Sleeper. This is for you, Art. Speaking of Bonham, the digital what is that? The digital company Yurt Rock has a deal with Bonham's estate, so you could buy AU drum set sample. Buy AU drum sample set of his 1971 Ludwig Maple Thermogloss kit.
You know what? Aaron? I had that kit in the 70s. I had a 5-piece Ludwig Vistalite orange kit, exactly with the Speed King pedal and everything, just like my hero John Bonham. Yeah, those drums are loud.
I had a clear Ludwig.
Oh, you had one of the clear ones?
I
Those
had
are
the
cool
clear
too,
one.
man.
Yeah. I don't even know how old it was. Someone gave it to me like 15.
And Aaron
20 years ago.
Sleeper, I want to thank you, my friend, for our Christmas present. I have your things actually being flattened because this is how it came in my. It actually was like this.
Oh shit!
In my PO box, they just shoved it in. Asshole.
That's what I used to do in high school.
Yeah, thank you. So I haven't looked at your thing. I put them under a bunch of books, a bunch of omnibuses, like 5 of them, and I'm flattening them out. I'm going to look at them this weekend. So thank you so much. But I was like, what the hell? Jiminy crickets. Look at this. It was like that.
Jiminy
And I'm
Cricket's
like,
up to public domain soon.
Yes, Jiminy Cricket. And then Bobby, good to see you, brother. Bobby Chrysopis. Sites should get in trouble for misleading headlines. Yeah. Good luck with that. It should be, but it's not going to happen. Not at all. So, anyway, so what do we think, guys? What do we think is going with comics? Again, Steve has successfully used public domain characters in his 2 graphic novels, plus public figures who are now deceased. And then also one of your films you made was utilize all these famous public figures, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can, and that doesn't require any kind of time to pass. Essentially, the copyright law can be distilled down to the phrase "you can't libel the dead." That's how. That is what. So, you can do movies about someone, a public figure or a non-public figure who passed away. You know, I don't know if actually I can't say that you could do something about a non-public figure that passed away yesterday. But again, usually why you're doing a movie is because they've reached a level of public figure. Either they themselves are some kind of politician, celebrity, or they were involved in some sort of criminal case or some sort of social justice situation, and therefore they became notable in the media, and now we can do movies about them. That's, we see this all the time. Doesn't mean, and often families will come out and say, we don't approve of this film. They can't do anything more than come out and say we don't approve. So it's definitely separate from this whole public domain idea. There's nothing about public domain that has anything to do with me being able to do a movie that depicts Charlie Chaplin, Marion Davies, William Randolph Hearst. That's a separate rights issue.
Mm-hmm.
I want to answer the Inco question that you put up there, Billy. Inco is a fairly new character, even though he looks retro, but he's a fairly new character. So I still have a little bit of time before I have to worry about all that stuff.
So yeah, Steve, 91 years to go.
91 years.
What you were saying, Steve, and also Art, you mentioned this earlier, and Mark Haynes had put it in the chat, that if you are a corporation or if you are an individual, there's nothing to prevent anybody from suing you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may have the law on your side,
mm-hmm.
but you can sue anybody for anything, and particularly in this country where there's no penalty for bringing frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah.
Like in the UK, if you file a frivolous lawsuit, you got the expense of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're found, so that's a circuit breaker on lawsuits. So Disney could be, as an example, could be totally wrong about something in terms of the law. Doesn't mean they can't sue you and cost you a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And also, like in the case of like Chrono Mechanics, it was originally called Quantum Mechanics, and so we were just about to publish it with Image Comics. And so this guy, he had published 2 issues of Quantum Mechanics comics. And so he sent a cease and desist to Image Comics. So I'm talking to Eric Stevenson, and Eric said, you could win this flat out. And I talked to my lawyer, and we had a case. We could win this thing. He said, but it's going to get tied up. It's going to get tied up in court. And, it's going to delay your release date for this book and all this other stuff. And a lot of hardships are going to come out of it. He said it would really be easier if you just changed the title.
Right.
And I did. And it's Chrono Mechanics instead of Quantum. And I actually think like it's one of those things that, fate gave me a great hand because it's a better title. It's a better name,
Happy Accident
is better than Quantum. Yeah. And also you really can't copyright quantum mechanics. It's a term you can't copyright.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second. I just want to address this. So lazy again. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I just spoke with Deb on that ain't cheap. For the She campaign. I don't think there are any sketch items included in the All I Want tier because the sketch covers are very limited. There's only like 30 each, and the same thing with the prints. Also, regarding the Kickstarter trade bundles as advertised on Kickstarter, please write that in the comment section if you can, or you can email Debbie at debtucci@optonline.net, or just send us an email through billytucci.com. Contact us, that'll go to me. All right. And then we'll work that out with you and figure it out. So thank you. I apologize, Art. I just had to clear that bad boy up.
Oh, no, but I'm working on a She sketch right now. I got a commission, Billy, and
really,
it's a full on commission. So,
dude, is that the same guy who I did the Whitney one for?
Is it Kevin Thompson?
Yeah.
It's like touche. Yeah. And I asked him already. I said, could Billy use this? It's going to kick ass, Billy.
Dude, let y'all use this.
And then he goes, yeah, for sure. So,
let me ask you guys, because I'm not a comic book artist, you guys are, and publisher. I'm a writer, but I'm not. I
could have been a
published
comic
this.
book artist. Steve is
I mean,
gonna
I published this book, and I know what's in this book, and I know what Billy's doing. But you guys are at Comic-Con. Huge corporations have their tables. So many artists. Billy, you have done your drawings. I won't name the characters, but you've done drawings of characters, 11 by 17s, and you sell them, of characters outside of the rights ones you have the rights to. And so is that just something the industry at large, or first off, is that just protected? Is that some sort of your tribute to this kaiju character or this?
Yeah, no, I know. Well, most of mine, a lot of them, it's kind of they give us a pass.
Yeah.
Because
it is completely arbitrary.
Most of mine are my covers that I've done for them.
Right.
And then I'll just reprint the covers. And that's still the one thing that's kind of cool about the majors. I haven't done any new ones in a long time, much to my wife's heartbreak and sorrow, because I'm just too busy. But when I was working for DC, for Marvel, a lot of my prints are my cover work.
Okay.
The vast majority of them are. But you see these people, we call them con artists, and they just do 30, 40 conventions a year. And they've got these giant wall of prints, and they're, here's my Spider-Man, here's my Wonder Woman topless, and they just have these prints and they sell them for $5 each. And it drives everyone nuts. But there's nobody from the Marvel table at a convention whose job it is to walk around the convention, hold up their card, and say, "You got to take that down."
I think what you would have to do is you would have to. Oh, go ahead.
I absolutely have seen that happen, and that's what I say about the enforcement of this is arbitrary, which then gets back to what Art was saying later, what Mark said in the comments, and what Billy said, which it really comes down to if you had the ability to defend yourself, because arbitrary enforcement equals no enforcement, and you can, and a good lawyer can win that case. But you're going to have to spend $1 gazillion to outdo a company.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, I think that Marvel or DC would only come down on you if it was really rude, stuff, or like putting the characters in positions. Well, they could close. I mean, if they went to a con, right?
Case. I wish that was a case, Art. And I'm not going to name a friend of Billy's and mine here, but I've seen it happen to somebody who is a good published comic book artist.
I think you also came across the line.
Came by and said, "Take the stuff down."
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like DC probably wouldn't pick that fight with like Billy or me, but they would pick that fight, especially if somebody was doing something rude with the characters. You know what I mean? Something that they didn't approve of.
Yeah, and we also do like 100 of them, 50 of them.
Right.
They're very
25. It's different between having about 20 prints at $15 a pop. It's not worth their time. However, if on your website you're selling T-shirts, and merchandise, that's going to cross the line if they're alerted to it.
Yeah, but the thing is, when I negotiated at DC for my last raise, this was years ago. I think I've been away from DC for 5 years now. It's been a while, but I wanted to put out some art books and things like that, and using some of my DC and Marvel artwork. And so in that negotiation, I got granted permission. So I have permission to do the DC characters. Whether it still holds up or not, I don't know. There wasn't really a date on there. But also I can use logos. So it was in the agreement.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've never used logos. Well, the friend, we're not gonna name this particular artist, but he's done work for Marvel and DC. But one executive, high up executive, did not know who he was, and he's at San Diego Comic-Con, and he's got his booth, and it's all Marvel and DC work, mostly DC work characters. And he walked up and he said, that is all trademark and copyright DC Comics. Take them all down right now. He goes, you want to mess with our lawyers? I'm so-and-so from DC Comics. Here's my card. Take him down right now. And this guy, I don't know if Jeff was there at my booth. When he showed up, he was ashen. You think Bela Lugosi looks drained in the black and white version? he was just like sweating and terrified, that they were going to come after him.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we need to say is this is totally different than somebody doing commissions. Original art, that's totally protected.
Yeah.
If you're retailing or selling it in volume, I think is where they might draw the line.
You know what Brian Polito does? Brian does when artists do commissions and get paid for it. Brian will find that commission somehow. He's into everything. He will find a Lady Death commission. I don't know if he scours or has people scour comic art fans or whatever. And if he likes that commission, he will go contact the owner of that and get that commission and make a cover out of it, a bunch of them. And at one point, he used to work a lot in comics, got all pissed off and went, "What the hell? You need a cover of my thing?" And he's like, "Well, it's my character." And he's like, "You already got paid for that cover. It's my character." He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to send you five. I'm going to send you five of the variant covers." Brian is no joke when it comes to that. And I think I'm going to do the same darn thing, RT Bear. So you're not getting a red cent out of me for that. Ain't nobody getting, what is it? Nobody getting $1 out of me because I'm a PIMP.
Yeah. But I've been on the other side of Brian's negotiation, Brian Polito. Yeah, he does not mess around.
No.
There's no joke and there's no.
Yeah, Brian comes up and he's like, and I was at his show, Tucson Comic Con, and one of his fiends commissioned me to do a Lady Death, a bust, whatever, and I did it. And Brian, I didn't even get that damn thing done. And Brian at my booth, he's like, "We should make that a cover." I'm like, "Have at it, whatever you want."
I would just like to say that Nile owes me $5 because Billy knows how to spell pimp.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
Venmo on the way.
Is that 50 cent?
50.
Steve, you're a big
50
rap
cent.
guy. Is that 50 cent?
Sure it is.
Thank you.
50 cents.
So, okay, guys. So, what does this hold for the future? Okay, so JC and I are going to be doing a comic called She Gatecrasher, which I'd like to employ Steve to be the editor of, if he's wants to make a couple of $100, because we all know that comics is a career where you could literally make hundreds of dollars.
You can literally make 3 figures, a 3-figure income.
But we have in this book Gatecrasher, which is going to be launched at the end of February. My character, gets trapped in comic book time, and she has to battle her way through the genres and the decades alongside an ally, which is my original the original character I conceived for She, called Ran. And but we're going to have a lot of public domain characters in it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're doing it for fun, but again,
not exclusively for fun.
No, not exclusively for fun.
Well, but not. Billy, but then again, you go to, Mad Magazine had, comic book characters under the guise of parody. If there's a sense of levity and humor,
you can use anything.
Passing through a frame, passing through a panel, or just a little bit that could fall under the purview of parody or satire, then it's arguable. You might be able to sneak in people who are around even now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you could. I mean, what's you call it? Did a fun book. Adam Post. You remember Adam Post art? You know Adam Post.
Yeah, Adam.
We all know Adam. Great guy. He did a book called I don't know, Femforce. I know it's not Femforce, something like that. Dare Dame was one of the characters. He had this great Adam Hughes character of a female daredevil, which is funny how he was he was a trailblazer because Marvel ended up end up sex swapping all of their characters anyway.
He was ahead of the curve.
Ahead of the curve. And he did it with a couple of the characters, and just made them female versions of them as parody. And,
all drawn by Adam Hughes too, by the way.
Adam Hughes did the covers, and they're stunning, dude. They're unbelievable. And we're like, why don't you do that and make this book? So I think he is planning on doing that maybe this year or next year to make it as a crowdfunded book. But I'm just wondering where now that I think that this has real, Rob Liefeld is always talking about using public domains. There's a public domain Facebook page, Facebook group. What do you guys think, Scala?
And you know the public domain Facebook group is going to be accurate.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
But there are some guys like Kevin Ryan is really on top of this, so they know what is just like this.
Well, there's a lot of great public domain characters that could be used. Yeah. But you look at something like Steamboat Willie, and the big hype is the fact that it showcases Mickey Mouse, right? So it's like, oh, Mickey Mouse is now public domain, but how much can you really do with that?
Exactly. I mean, what people are essentially saying is, the word was out that Winnie the Pooh was going into public domain. So 6 months, 8 months prior, a bunch of guys said, "Oh, let's do a slasher movie with a guy in a Winnie the Pooh mask." P.S. That's exactly what someone just did with a Mickey Mouse mask, and that's going to come out in March. So is that all really anyone's got up their sleeves? There's going to be a Popeye serial killer coming down the pipe,
right, and that's why Disney, it doesn't matter to them. Yeah, I think they like.
I think actually what the cool one is in 2025 or 2026, Dick Tracy. And I know a couple creators who have stuff lined up, and they're just waiting for that to happen because it's that first year run. Of Dick Tracy and those characters.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All those villains. It's one of the greatest rogues gallery of all time. Yeah.
And when it comes to comics, that could be huge when it comes to comics.
Listen, you get into the original Dick Tracy, which is a lot grittier than the strip becomes, and what are called the blood dailies with the murder of Tess Trueheart's father, and the whole thing about Dick Tracy is it was created as a response to the gangsters becoming so culturally popular. It was really meant to counter, I don't know, just as an example, totally made up, Al Capone.
Vampire.
Thank you. It really is really interesting. And Dean Mullaney in Library of American Comics has just released the first 4 volumes at the larger size that the volume 7 and higher were produced at. They're going to come out with 5 and 6 here, I think this month, either that or next month. And they're really just the freaking gold standard of strip reprint books. But what some of our friends that Nile has alluded to are ready to do is they've been looking for ways to work with the company that owns Tracy and been stymied. So now all they have to do is wait a couple years.
Yeah.
You know what? Like Billy, you brought up, you mentioned where could they go? Whatever. What would be fun to do is all the public domain characters do a Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah. Do a Who Done It, and then have all these characters kind of appear in it, and get questioned and whatever the story is, whether it's like a detective thriller or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and to protect yourself for, like I said, with a lot of these public domain characters, you don't have to use their names. Because remember, Marvel's Daredevil is not the original Daredevil comic book. The original Daredevil came out in the 30s. Not, sorry, the 40s, right? Early 40, 41.
So you could use the name, but not the likeness, not the Marvel likeness.
I think you can use the name. I don't know.
Trust me, I marketed our cover under the Golden Age Daredevil name when we did the Overstreet cover for that. So yeah, I got no fear for that. Nikki, no fear. Nikki's incarnation. Nikki's incarnation of it, he calls Red Devil or something like that. But it's got some twist on the name. But it really, that you can do your own.
Yeah, I think, and the thing is that you could also when it comes to trademark, because I was speaking to someone who wanted to get a public domain character trademarked and was working, and the name, part of the name is similar to a major Marvel character. And what he was telling me was that he spent $20,000 or so duking it out with Marvel or negotiating with Marvel, whatever it was, that he could use this character's name, which is very similar to a very major Marvel character's name. Even though this book preceded that Marvel character by 20 plus years. But that's trademarking the name or a logo. So if you want to do, let's just say Miss Fury, you can just call it June Tarpe Mills as Miss Fury.
Yeah.
You know, or even so, and for those out there who want to make your own comics and using public domain characters, don't even call them by their names. Just use their likenesses.
Yeah.
Because you can't, the likeness is in the public domain. The logo, the original logo is in the public domain. Now, someone might try to trademark a logo or add their little spin to it or something like that. That's a problem. You can't use that new publisher's logo.
Right.
But
you just have to be very careful with what you are doing and not be cavalier, because there, you know, like I said, I see this little Mickey Mouse horror movie that the trailer just unleashed yesterday or whatever, and I'm like, I don't, you know, they're playing with fire. They may be able to come out the other side and release this movie, and probably did not cost much, but we'll see. I mean, obviously the Winnie the Pooh people did it right, so that movie by all accounts was god awful, but they are doing a sequel. It made enough money for there to be a second one. So
that's a really
how
good
about
point.
this? How about this? Okay, has anybody used a public domain character that had a second life? Like, it went into public domain, somebody, you know, loved this character, got in there, either made a movie or a series of books or comics or cartoons or anything with a public domain character, and had it be successful. You know what I mean? Like, after
Zorro. How old is Zorro?
Okay, well, that's a bad analogy, Billy, because Zorro has just entered the public domain very recently.
Oh, okay.
So there's no test case for it. There's no test.
Well, I mean,
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
All those public domain?
That's literally all of those characters.
But look at
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yep. Or Frankenstein, Dracula.
People keep making money. There isn't one singular depiction of Dracula in since it reached public domain that did. Although I don't know when Hammer Films started doing Dracula in 1958. 97 was the book. I don't know if they still owed rights to the Stoker estate. I mean, Hammer Films did a good 11, 12, maybe not 11, 12, but they did a good number of Dracula titles. I don't know if it went into public domain at some point or was in public domain.
That gets into the difference between British law and American law.
Yeah.
Nicholas has a great thing here, but I think there's, and probably the weird thing for me to say, given my hairstyle, there's some hairs to split here. You can't trademark a name. You can trademark the style of representing a name.
Oh, okay. So that person was bullshit.
So you've trademarked their logo, but this is how Lev Gleason, the new Lev Gleason company, is publishing Golden Age Daredevil stories.
So could you have a Spider-Man book as long as your logo is different?
You could have a Thor book.
You could. You absolutely could have a Thor book. There's no question about that. Walt Simonson calls his Ragnarok, but it's Thor.
Yeah.
Well, Rob Liefeld proved that. Like Rob put out a series of Thor books, through.
Yeah, we did Thunder God in 1996.
And it really comes down now. Spider-Man, you're going to get every lawyer that they've got on you, and there's no way you're going to outspend that. You're just asking for it in that case.
Right, because Spider-Man is such that is a term that never existed prior to Marvel using.
You're absolutely correct.
I mean, a daredevil is people would talk about a guy in a biplane was a daredevil.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but Spider-Man is specific. And
Evel Knievel was a daredevil.
Yeah. Well, there's a comic, a French comic, titled She, it's the Japanese Chinese kanji for it. That's the title.
Wow.
And it first time came out maybe 10 years ago or so, and there was nothing I could do about it because it's
the type.
Popular. It's a word. It's a word.
The title. Yeah.
It had nothing to do with my character. It was nothing similar.
Again, we're into the difference between trademark law and copyright law.
Well, it's like black and white. Like I can't copyright the name Black and White because it's.
Well,
you can trademark what's in the book. Yeah, you can trademark everything that's in the book.
Hey, I mean, look.
Go ahead.
I was saying Amityville is a town on Long Island. If you were to go on IMDb, you will see a whole bunch of movies that are part of the official lineage of the franchise that began in 1979, the Amityville Horror. and you're going to see a whole bunch that have nothing to do because you cannot copyright the word Amityville. It is a town that exists. So there are plenty of movies that are horror movies that have the word Amityville, Amityville Ghost, the Amityville Legacy, the Amityville Terror, you know, that are out there. Amityville 2000, you know, that have nothing to do with the franchise, but people assume they are, and they can keep doing it. Look, The Exorcist famously shut down effectively the movie Abby, which was made by American International, which is basically a blaxploitation version of The Exorcist. It had literally all the same story beats, and they effectively got that movie pulled from distribution because it was just too close. And it certainly wasn't parody. It was just trying to rip it off. Jaws did that. There was a Jaws movie called Jaws of Death or something, and they had and Warner Universal had that pulled from distribution because the plot was identical. And even in terms of a lawman and a salty fisherman, both go out there to stop the shark. You know, I mean, it's the exact same story. So people think that they can do these things.
But this one was starring Michael Caine.
No, that was Jaws 4, where he famously said, "I've not seen Jaws 4, but I will show you the house it bought."
I like that. Yeah,
I love it that he was just in every film in the 70s and 80s. He's making 40 films a year. Well, the one thing I'm looking at tomorrow, Steve, if you remember my brother Philip.
Yes,
my brother Philip turns 56 years old tomorrow. And
come on, Billy.
Yes, and you want to know why I know that? Because he was born in 1968, and I'm counting down the years till Planet of the Apes, which debuted in 1968. The film comes in the public domain. So I can make a Nova comic.
I don't
like that you don't. He's your brother, and you don't know his birthday.
I don't really
question other things.
Yeah, I don't really question why you know the age of your brother, Billy.
I'm being honest with everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm the same way. Family, whatever.
Born the same year as Planet of the Apes came out.
Wow, beautiful.
Stuart, how's that line? That was.
And I told you about Stuart. She used to be the new Eve with our hot and eager participation.
Well, Billy, I got my brother was born in '66, so I always like, the Batman TV series.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Billy and I are in the 66 Club. Wait a minute.
We're in the 66 Club, and Steve does a great. I whenever we're drinking and smoking cigars, I always ask him to do the I guess it would be Heston's Taylor's Captain's Log.
I know who I am, Billy, but who are you? How in hell did this upside down civilization get started? You may well call it upside down since you occupy its lowest level, and deservedly so.
I guess Steve doing the whole Planet of the Apes film, and we drink it, and we just laugh and laugh. We guffaw, actually.
I wish we would do, we should do this next year at the holidays. A puppet show version of Planet of the Apes with Steve doing the voices.
Well, could we just do a reading? Now, Steve, talk about puppet.
Yeah, and about 4 guys that show up, and they're right here on this page.
So what? But could we do a reading of? Could we do a script and do a script of a film, like a famous film, and do a reading, all of us, and read the script live?
You know, people have done that out here. I've seen that advertised. People have done things like that as benefits because the film is, if you advertise it, you know, you right away are going to get into the. And if people charge ticket prices for it, you're going to get into the wrath of whoever owns that film. So, but people have done this kind of thing for. Yeah, I mean they do.
Short film, maybe Christmas time. We can do the Grinch, and you could do Karloff. You do the Grinch, Steve.
Yeah, and or we could do a Christmas Carol with Dr. Zaius in the Scrooge role.
Oh my God!
There you go.
Randy Howell, yes. Here's Randy Howell. Yes, I know. I've read the original Planet of the Apes. It sucks.
It not suck.
Doesn't suck.
It sucks. It's boring.
Yeah, you would find it boring. It explores the whole idea of race-conscious memory. It's great science.
Yeah, I think it's boring. I think it's boring.
I'm
sorry, I do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so guys, we've been going an hour and a half almost.
Well, God bless us,
everyone.
There we go.
So when are we going to talk about boobs and drums? Nile got me on the show with that subject.
He's like, "We're going to talk about it." I'm like, "Boobs and drums. Don't worry about
boobs and drums." Yeah, Billy loves that stuff.
Heck yes, I do. You kidding me? Especially the what's her name?
It's like they're like
Honey,
warm sandbags.
No, it's Honey, the drummer from the Honeycombs band, with the song "I Have the Right" that I posted on Facebook. What a great little yarn it was, circa 1964, 60 years ago. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see it. Anyway, guys, thank you all for joining us. Scala, pitch something. Tell us what's going on, brother.
I got nothing going on, bro. I got nothing going on.
You're healing. That's what you're doing.
Yes. I got to catch up. I'm 2 weeks behind. I got to reschedule shows and guests. So we'll see.
Well,
I'll start pulling shit out of my ass soon.
Yeah, come to me. We are closing out the She #1 30th anniversary original art edition next Monday on Comicsgate Kings. That's the Indiegogo. We're closing it out on Ethan's stream, and then Wednesday, we're going to be closing out the Kickstarter stream. So that's going to be Wednesday Night Live with Billy Tucci next Wednesday. Please come up to join the campaign. It might go in demand on Indiegogo for maybe 2 weeks because JC and I just have to do a few things, and then that book is going to go to then it goes to the editors to look at, then it goes to press. So it's going to be a short, quick fulfillment. And thank you for a wonderful year, everybody. 2023 was fantastic. No, the week after next, we're looking to do a retailer show about retailers talking about their predictions for 2024. And I just want to thank everyone for an incredible year. So RT Bear, talk to us. Where are you with your books?
Hey, well, next Tuesday, that's the Bros Night. So it's going to be on my channel. Yeah. So I was thinking we could do like best designed hero, like uniforms, costumes, like what artists are the best at designing like iconic costumes and stuff like that. I'd love to hear your take on that. So that's probably what we're going to do. And that'll be on my YouTube channel. And Black and White is done. All the artwork is done. It is at the letterers right now, being all lettered up. And I'll tell you, it is fantastic to see the words with the images. There's nothing better. There's nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my
when
gosh,
the lettering is good, when you have a good letter and the lettering comes in, right?
But it creates the characters then are complete. Like before they didn't have a voice, you just see the images, but then you see how they talk. And man, I'm sorry, I know it's my work, but it was like magic. I wasn't prepared to be taken aback. And when I saw that stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. And I hope everybody that backed Black and White will feel the same way when they get the books. And I want to thank everybody for giving me the time to draw what I think is the best work of my career. But the next episode, the next installment of Black and White will be even better. So that's my guarantee to you guys. And thanks for having me on, you guys. This has been a blast. Yeah.
Of course. Steven.
Well,
Steven, what do you got going on? Tell us about Stoker and Wells.
Well, Stoker and Wells. Well, so my computer just went wonky. Hold on a second. Stoker and Wells is which is this book here. This is the second book. We are Barry Orkin is doing tremendous work drawing it. The script is done. We're moving that along really, really well. A little bit past our goal date, but it is all going to be worth it. Thankfully, the strike of the Writers Guild has concluded, so I am once again able to work on the various film and TV projects I'm doing, including developing Stoker and Wells with the former president of Marvel Studios at his new company, Amasia. We're developing it as a TV series. That was all on hold during the writer's strike, and then the writer's strike ended just before. That was the Writers Guild, the screenwriters and TV writers. That strike ended just before the holidays, so it didn't really change anything. And now things are kicking back in again. So the year has started very well. And that's pretty much what's going on with me, writing new scripts, developing new projects. So, but the big one is The big one is over my this shoulder.
Yes, left shoulder.
Yes, Stoker and Wells, The Ashes of Revenge, the second book in the saga.
And for those out there that don't know, Steve also is the writer for She, Return of the Warrior, She Haikyuu, and She Sakura. J.C. Vaughn.
There you go.
There, Jeff will be writing She Gatecrasher, our next our original graphic novel campaign, and then Steve and I will be
actually already working on it.
That's right, we're already working on it. Yes, we've got 10 pages done already. And we're launching at the end of February, so I'm hoping that all of my art will be done. My art will be done by the time we launch.
And the next trilogy of is what, when you project that.
We're looking. Well, we have to talk, and I guess we could throw this out there. I haven't. It might be 2 issues, but let's talk. I think we can do it in 2. I was thinking a lot about it, but we will be launching that in May. First issue, which I'd like to be, Steve. I'm doing this publicly. I would love for the first issue to be She, the Ghost with the Green Eyes. I like that title, but we'll talk about it. That's my choice. I'm throwing it out there. And then the which actually pertains to Anna's mother, and then followed by She Battleship Island, which will be the follow-up graphic novel. And that we're doing 3 campaigns for the year, plus Zombie Sama Year 1, which looks exceptional. That's going to be a smaller campaign shoved in there. And it's going to be a lot of fun. JC, we're having Steve come out. We're going to fly Steve out in the spring. We're going to check our schedules. And let's have some fun. And let's do some work.
I think that would be good. Can I tell you what I've got coming?
Yes. Now, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, in addition to actually probably before Gatecrasher, even though we're already writing Gatecrasher, I will have a what looks like it's going to be a flip book, Vampire PA Origins and Al Capone Vampire Origins.
Oh, nice.
The guys have already done 21 pages out of the first Vampire PA, which is the adaptation of the original short story, which was prose. And it's among the best work of the guys, Brendan and Brian Frame's career. They're just stunning.
They are phenomenal.
And then that'll be followed by Captain Action versus Al Capone Vampire.
It's fantastic.
That'll be this summer.
Will Captain Action be making? Do you think Captain Action will be making any other appearances in comics before that?
You know, I have my distinct hopes, and I have a request out. So that's about as far as I want to say on that. But
Captain Action, the ideal toy company.
Yes.
Character in the 60s.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Wow.
And the guys at Captain Action Enterprises that are the owners of it.
Is that Joe and Ed?
Joe and Ed and Michael Polis.
Okay.
And I called Ed from a drive-through at a Wendy's when I came up with the idea of Captain Action versus Al Capone. I go, just let me explain it. And Ed's a good sport. He let me explain it. Michael, I think, maybe didn't like the idea at first, but I got a chance to. Yeah, man.
Yes.
I did some design for the toys.
Absolutely.
So these are the coffin boxes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those. I think I have one of those boxes.
Great.
So
I didn't know that was you, Art.
Just phenomenal stuff. And Art, didn't you do a promo piece for them that we ended using for like a Overstreet Free Comic Book Day cover?
I think so. I've done several illustrations for them. I just love the character as from when I was a kid and everything. So it's cool.
Of course, there's some great trivia. Captain Action #1 is Jim Shooter's first published credit because he did layouts with his scripts, and Wally Wood, who was notoriously pretty tough on writers, Wally treated him like he was an artist. So Wally always signed his work, so he signed Shooter's name in there too.
Ooh.
And that's how Jim got a published credit on that.
Wow.
And there's a great IDW put out a great book reprinting the 5 DC issues of Captain Action.
Is it true that the guy that created the original Captain Action, the toy, is the same guy that did G.I. Joe. Is
Yeah,
that,
one
is
of
that
the
true?
one of the guys involved. That there were, in each of these things, success has many fathers.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the main guys, absolutely, is the same guy. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And then
By the way, those of you that know Michael Urie that does Back Issue Magazine and Retrofilm, he did what I consider to be the definitive character-centric study when he did his book on Captain Action.
I got that book, and I think he featured some of my artwork in it. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
it's such a great book that it. Now I always liked Ed and Joe. I liked them the first time I met them, right? But I was a G.I. Joe guy. I wasn't a Captain Action guy.
Yeah.
That book turned me into a Captain Action guy.
I think like Marvel's first licensed Spider-Man was the Captain Action Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, and there's maybe 5 known mint in the box copies of that Spider-Man costume.
I saw one at San Diego Comic-Con. I almost bought it. It was too expensive though.
I would assumed it would have been the Ben Cooper Halloween costume, but I'm sure it's seriously though.
Listen, those are pricey enough, Billy.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, like Hakes Auctions has sold a bunch of those, but honestly, you can get pieces of this. You can get things that are below mint in the box. But there's 5 known copies mint in the box of the Spider-Man outfit for Captain Action. So beyond that, I'm really psyched about She Gatecrasher. As much as I have enjoyed being nominally the editor of Steve. I mean, after the first one, he just did his own thing, and it was just freaking beautiful. But especially the Speed Racer page, which whatever one of you guys came up with, that's my favorite She page ever. But I'm really looking forward to writing She again, because I haven't written She since June N at Dark Horse.
And that's
been
20 years ago.
And
10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Yeah, let's say 5.
But
it really is exciting to me to be doing this again. And it's a little, listen, as much as we talked about it being fun, there's going to be some silly moments in it. A little bit of a statement about creator ownership.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sound like super pompous, but maybe a little pompous is good. And I'm really excited about that. And other than that, got my pilot Hyperloop at Roddenberry. We'll see if it goes anywhere now that things are back open.
Oh, I just want to. I would like to, because as some of you, as all of you here, I think are film fans, monster movie fans, horror movie fans. I got to finally actually put my. I've done commentary tracks on classic movies, but I've never actually published something, and I'm very proud. This is where did I go? Okay,
yeah,
well here it is.
It's great.
It's in. You can get this on Amazon now. Well, that's what happens when you do these stupid things. Hold on,
Invisible Man.
Giant, I have my copy too.
Giant. There you go. Giant Beast Cinema, which is a book that I'm proud to have written 8 chapters in. We cover about 33, 38 horror, sci-fi, monster movies from the 30s through the 60s. We'll do a second book that takes us from the 70s to the present. But I got to write about my favorite film of all time, King Kong. I got to assemble a group of, in addition to myself, 5 other extraordinary writers who write about monster movies with love, affection, but also on honesty and a critical eye. So they're really great balances of films by people who love these movies, but also from the point of view of a movie you fell in love with when you were 12, revisiting when you're significantly older than 12. So it's a lot of fun. It's available on Amazon. We debuted at number 1 in the top 10. The prior book, Giant Bug Cinema, was number 1. We debuted at 4, I think, at Amazon's horror movie books, and it's still available.
Congrats.
Thanks on Amazon, and I'm very, very proud to have done the work as an editor and also as a writer of and covering some movies that I really, really love. So I hope folks will check that out.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Guys, I want to answer 2 things. I had a super chat that if so lazy, if you're still here, Debbie fixed, like I said, Debbie fixed the trading card bundle advertised on Kickstarter. So that is now available before this campaign closes in 5 days, 6 days, next Wednesday. What was I just gonna say? Oh darn, hang on. Oh, I had there is a thing right here. Thank you. Some guy 209. Some guy 209. Billy, it appears my copy of She San Diego has a double printed page. Is this a known issue? Yes, it is. We just found out. Easy fix. We'll be sending out in the an update, and we'll be putting it in the surveys of how you can get a nice little special gift from Crusade Comics.
Wait a minute. Someone has a problem that they got not one but two copies, two prints of a certain page in your book. My God, that's a bonus, in my opinion.
It's an extra page. It's a bonus. It's
a bonus.
It happens. So everyone's. So what we're doing is we're doing a collector's plate to slip in, and it's signed by me. And I did a drawing of she, and she's like, "It happened." So,
she happens.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Easy fix. That right? Thank you.
Happens, bro.
She happens. Thank you, Scala. I know you haven't said a damn thing all day because I haven't shut up. But
I know.
You don't feel so great, do you?
Me? I'm still working on my energy, but it's I'm just happy to be here with Art T. Berry. I haven't had him on stream in a long time.
I would just like to take this opportunity to obviously wish a happy New Year to my new friends, my new friend, a newer friend Skyle, my very new friend Art, but Billy, who I've known since 7th grade, and Tex, who I've known for a good chunk of change. Very happy New Year to you, gentlemen. It's my first time seeing both of you in the new year.
Yes,
cheers.
I already finished it off, but I'll pretend.
Here's to a tremendous New Year's, successful and fulfilling New Year's for all of us, and for all whoever is listening right now. I want to tell you, you are now getting an incredible magic spell from this group. We are sending it your way. You will have a tremendous 2024 of excellence.
Hot damn. I'll drink to that. Thank you all. Nile, do you want to take us out?
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Art, Steve, JC, Billy. Everyone have a great night.
Oh, there's private chats. Hang on. Did I ignore all those? Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, Reenie left. Reenie's like, thank you. Aw. Poor Reenie. She's so sweet. All right, guys. Thank you.
Hey, everyone.
Steve.
Thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at ThePopXP and over on Instagram at ThePopXP. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you soon.